You're watching Cable 2.
And hello everyone, welcome to Today with Dr. Beverly Emory. I'm Chris Runge. Thanks so much for joining us. Lots to talk about today and lots to talk about since we last met. We'll get an update on what's going on with Haynes and Lowrance Middle Schools. We're also going to talk about the new high school grading scale, the possibility for it, and some grading for schools themselves. All that and much more coming up in just a moment. First of all, hello, as always, to Dr. Emory. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. You've been busy over the last couple of weeks is probably the understatement of 2015. But if we could, can we just have an update on what's going on with Haynes Lowrance at this point? Right now, as of this taping, the school board has not made a decision. They're going to meet again next week. So where do we stand now?
Great opportunity, and Chris and I were actually even chatting about perhaps doing a special program because we really know we can use this space to help communicate, and I think part of our plan is how can we improve on that, and in the last week we've really tried to ramp that up so people understand what's going on and trying to be as transparent because of course the accusation understandably was that people didn't know, and I think many of us found ourselves sort of at a deficit on the detailed knowing and data, and so we've really tried to do the quick study to get our arms around this. So just a quick where are we? We have contracted with Mid-Atlantic, which is an environmental engineering firm, and they have begun the process of planning out and preparing for what we hope will be an expedited assessment. And while at the beginning of this people were just calling for air samples, as we've educated ourselves, we understand that we really need to assess the entire pathway of this vapor induction science that says if groundwater is contaminated, what's the flow? And that's not just the air in a classroom up above, but is there reason to believe that that air is contaminated by pathways of those vapors? So the testing will be a little more extensive and it will take a little longer than we had earlier anticipated, but I think it will be more thorough. And I think from the response we're getting to people hearing about that they like the fact that it's a more comprehensive view of this. So the first science step is, can we get our arms around this? And we asked the company to view this as though there had never been any testing, because we understand the testing. We believe from the officials, health and Department of Natural Resources and State Toxicology and our own health department, all the people who have looked at this, who have rendered it safe, obviously, we believe that. However, there's distrust, and so the ability to look at it with fresh eyes. So we asked this company to, pretend you're starting from scratch and there's not been any other data and any other testing. Now, at some point, they'll evaluate that in comparison to what they do. So that's one piece. The other piece is that we have looked at options for moving children off that site. And there is no beautiful option. There's not one perfect place. Obviously, we're a school system. We're growing. We don't have the space to just lift people up and move them to some other alternative site. We've also looked at some commercial sites in the last few days, and I think people know there's big spaces out there, but they don't understand how regulated we are in terms of, again, these are protections, health, safety, so there are a lot of issues out there that don't just make it okay for us to move a school into a huge commercial space.
And with Lowrance, you would need special access, and would you not?
Absolutely. And while there's special access with ADA for all of us, there's completely different and more stringent kinds of things that we have to do with special needs population. So, but we are looking at that, and of course that would require splitting kids up. We can do it. We can do it fairly quickly. It will be fairly costly. And so part of looking at those options is also looking at the least number of moves. So if the decision were to move from the building while we do this assessment, and then look, is there some accelerated remediation we could do to the building and then move kids back, that's an option. The other is if we do the assessment and we do short-term move away and we don't come back, can we plan for what the fall might look like to sort of eliminate multiple moves for kids. On the other side of this, we have the sort of science versus perception debate going on out there, and I just think we've got to honor all of that. Yes, there is science, but there is also perception, and it's very difficult to change that when people's children are involved. We all want our kids to be safe and healthy and thrive. And so this perception issue, in my mind, is very important too, because people make choices based on their reality, and if those choices negatively impact important programs. So Lawrence is a special program. HAG is a special program. Haynes is a STEM magnet. That's yet another program. And so part of what makes that school unique and beautiful are sort of the blending that goes on among those programs. And as perception negatively impacts those programs, I think we also have to think about that. So those are really a lot of the considerations going on. Today we go before the county commissioners, and we'll ask them to sort of take the package that we requested and put it on hold and give us a little more time to examine that, because while I'm not the board and I won't make the final decision, one thing that I'm convinced of at this point is that it doesn't make sense to build new on the site. No matter what we do, I don't think we will convince people it's safe, and there are a lot of variables over the years, and just monitoring that, just the level of what we would need to do to, 10 years ago, this conversation was a very public conversation in our community, and today there are a large number of people, staff, parents, our own staff, because people turn over and you're different and new, who didn't know.
Sure.
And so just the work to do to be sure we comprehensively educate people is important. And then one last thing, so we don't take up all our time, I do want to say that we learn from this. What can we do better? We have a website set up for anybody who wants information. As we find document, both historical and new, they go up on the site. We also Tuesday night very publicly shared any and all other areas, from where there used to be underground storage tanks to where we still have some monitored situations on our property. We'll be meeting with some of those parent groups to be sure they can see the maps and understand those situations. But that whole, what does disclosure look like going forward, and how frequently do we notify people? And so in every situation right now, letters are going home. Some of those, there's the bulk of them are tanks that used to be in the ground and no longer in the ground, and we aren't even being monitored by any agencies for that. But we want people to know, even if it was 20 years ago, that there was a tank there, and that means there's a possibility that something could have been in that soil. But I think that helps us send the message in the community that once we learned, we're trying to correct those, and then going forward do a better job of making sure people know and are well informed.
And again, it's out there on the web, on our website at wsfcs.k12.nc.us. You can also watch the board meetings online. We stream them if you don't have Time Warner Cable. And one more quick question about the board meeting. You might not grasp it if you just listen to the quick sound bites on television or read the smaller articles in the paper. But there was a significant amount of support from parents for keeping the kids at Haynes and Lawrence. Did that surprise you?
I think think based on the initial reaction, and all of us, are, as you learn and you listen, you hope you grow. And so I'm not surprised, because I'm in a different place from where I was a week ago, and I'm incredibly appreciative of those very respectful people who are acknowledging, I was really angry last week, and I understand that. I mean, part of that anger and an inability to hear maybe what we wanted folks to see to make a better informed decision was the lack of not knowing, and I totally get that, So I think people are listening more now. I think we have a community that wants to do their own homework, so I'm really grateful for all the people out there doing a lot of their own research. And, some of that, I think if you find it independently and you go, okay, well, even if you don't believe the sources that the district's providing, you can find some folks out there who are saying, okay, well, this is how this is measured, and there really wasn't anything done wrong, and the site, for all we know at this point, is safe for us to continue to do business there. But I just want to recognize that, sometimes when something gets out of the bottle, the context in which it's presented can create that. And anytime it's your kids, that sort of gets, it's even more so, because we're, none of us as parents want to be making decisions that we think endanger our kids in any way.
All right. We, again, will be streaming the board meeting live online at wsfcs.k12.nc.us if you don't have Time Warner Cable. We're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be back with more on grades and grading right after this.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent?
What?
Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better.
Please, don't quit on me. Okay, but remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late...
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one. Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
French fries. Finding best potatoes.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
And welcome back to Today with Dr. Beverly Emory as we continue talking about what's going on in the school system this month. Big news statewide in terms of education has to do with the end of grade testing, the EOGs. There's a task force that was proposing big changes there. We're also getting report cards on the schools. So there's a lot going on.
Yes.
Where do we stand in terms of EOGs?
It does appear that the work of the commission, the legislative commission on student assessment is really working aggressively to lower the number of assessments for kids, particularly, those end of the year sort of high stakes things. And while a lot of that is still to be figured out and of course has to be blessed, I think one of the most encouraging things I'm learning from that is that the focus seems to really be shifting on doing more formative or diagnostic testing. So can we move away from these one-time end of the year and do, like we do, quarterly benchmarks, or 3 times a year that we do with Read 3D, where you're measuring a specific skill set each time and you're looking at growth over time of a child. And us educator folks have long contended that if we really were about helping kids grow and learn, that's the kind of assessing that is far more valuable than that, one day in May where we test your 7th grade math skills. And, that one day in May is what these report card grades that are being released today by the state are based on. And so part of the reason as a district we created our own report cards and released them last week is that we wanted to help people understand that you can't judge a school, and in this case particularly all of our schools that have 3rd through 8th grade. The grades that are coming out today from the state are based on the one day we test children in math and the one day we test children in reading, and that's a way to hold us accountable. We understand that, but there's no accountability there for levels of poverty. There's very little weight in the formula for schools that are demonstrating growth. So in the state's formula today, the grades that come out, 80% of that grade is based on a proficiency score, and 20% is based on growth. And we just did not think that was fair. So our grades, we took the state scale, and any school that made growth or exceeded growth, we bumped them up a letter grade. And then all of our schools that have a free and reduced lunch rate of over 85, we added a +2. So, it doesn't take much to figure out how that, so we had some F schools by the state's ranking, but many of them made growth and some made high growth or exceeded growth. And so on our report card as a district, they would show up as D+ schools, because all of our schools that are in those lower rankings have those high poverty rates. And I hope that some of what we're doing will get attention of our decision makers out there to realize that it's any assessment of schools that does not take some measure in their accounting for poverty is doing a disservice to the staff in particular, the families. We have people, that work really hard in those schools and want to be there and want to do, everything from taking care of kids' basic needs to teaching them to read, and I'm really concerned that we lift them up and not make them feel that just because the state grades them a certain way that their work is not honored or valued. So I do think this new assessment could go a long way to shifting that focus back on growth, and that's what I really like. So if we're going to assess, and these will be public assessments, it won't be like if we go to formative 3 or 4 times a year that they won't be public and people won't be able to see them just as they do now, but it will give us a measure over the course of the year, and to me that is the story of growth. And I much prefer that we look at how much if I enter 2nd grade with a 12% proficiency in reading and I end 2nd grade at 40%, that's tremendous work for student, parent, teacher, and that needs to be recognized in this system, I think.
And it all works into our goals.
Absolutely.
Okay, final question, talking about grading, the high school grading scale. We talked about that last time and how we could go to the 10-point grading scale. Is it going to happen, and how is it being received?
Yes, and last time we talked about the fact that it was going to be phased in, and there was huge pushback from the state. I guess in a rather positive way. We were cautious because we were worried that people might be upset about their student, or that students would even be upset that the grading scale, the 7-point for our current high school students would change, and what impact that would have on GPA and class rank and those things. But the hue and cry was, if you're going to do it for everybody. And some of that was just, if you have a freshman and a sophomore sitting in a Math 2 class and one of them gets a 92 and it's a B, and the other one gets a 92 and it's an A, it's kind of goofy. And that was the pressure, I think, and heard across the state. So I appreciate that our state board and superintendent listened, and they went back and changed it. So the 10-point will go into effect in the fall for everyone. The only thing that's going to remain in that sort of phasing in is the weighted grade piece. And what we realized from doing some sort of random tests of students is that piece had a greater impact on class rank and GPA. So that will phase in with the freshmen, but the 10-point will be for everyone.
Wow, so 2015 to 16 could be a big changeable year. I mean, we could see significant changes in lots of things.
I'm not sure there's going to be any years where we're not going to see significant changes.
You're probably right. We're going to look for you on Tuesday night. We'll see you then.
Great. I did want to put a plug. I know we've been so absorbed in this other issue, but very quickly I did want to say to our community, we, as part of our goals and supporting our goals, we have a goal for 1,200 of our teachers between February and July to be trained in Eric Jensen's Teaching with Poverty in Mind. Jensen is nationally known. He is absolutely wonderfully engaging professional trainer, and he will be in our district next week training different teachers every day, Monday through Friday. And on Tuesday night, prior to this board meeting, he has agreed to do a session for the community just to sort of let them get a glimpse of what we're doing with teachers and how they can help support the educational outcomes of students who live in poverty. And what he does is applicable to all of us. I mean, I've heard him about 12 times, and I learned something, I'm like, I wish I had known that when my kids were teenagers, because it would have helped me be a better parent. So anyway, it's open to anyone, community, 5:30 to 6:30 on Tuesday night before the board meeting.
And that's at the Education Building, 4801?
Yes, it will be at the Education Building, and it will be in the room 219.
219?
Yes.
All right, 4801 Bethania Station Road here in Winston-Salem. And again, you can watch the board meeting online if you're not able to come and see it in person, and that's at wsfcs.k12.nc.us. Thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you on Tuesday night. And we're back in just a moment with more on some special programs coming up to celebrate Black History Month right here on Cable 2, and we'll talk about a very special guest who will be here next year and what she's doing to help homeless here in Winston-Salem. That and more coming up right after this.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent? What? Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Once again, we want to thank Dr. Emory for her time with us today and remind you that some very special programs are coming up here on Cable 2. First of all, the Spelling Bee is this month, and we will be airing that several times, repeating it several times here on Cable 2. It's also Black History Month. We've got some very special documentaries and presentations coming up, including one that was made by a local filmmaker. And next time that we speak, we're going to meet a very special, sweet 3rd grader from Kimmel Farm Elementary who's been collecting coats for the homeless here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. She'll be here in the studio and we'll talk with her. And once again, we'll talk with Dr. Emory and get an update on what's going on in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools. Remember, you can always watch the board meetings online at wsfcs.k12.nc.us. We stream them live on Tuesday evenings and then we archive them, and they are there for you to see later on. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Runge, and we'll see you next time right here on Today.
Thank you for joining us on your school channel, Cable 2.